Yo, what up? This is Mike Brown, and this is The Art of Letting Go.
Letting go. Letting go. Remember when you first started?
I do remember that. That's when Wayne used to sing on it.
Letting
Shout
go.
out to Wayne.
Shout out to Wayne, man. I sing
Yeah.
it better than him, but it's cool. Shout out to Wayne. Letting go.
Man, I brought you on the show today. So first of all, let me say shout out to Spotify. We here at Spotify recording.
Beautiful space.
They got us in this amazing studio.
Whoa.
And, you know,
Cool.
we've come a long way.
Come
We've
a
come a
long
long
way,
way.
man.
Started from the bottom, now we here.
Yeah.
But man, I brought you on because you are one of those people that not only has been on this creative journey with me, but also this life journey. And you know, we met in college through who was your mentee at the time and one of my close friends.
Chemistry Club, little brother.
Jermichael Young. Shout out Jermichael Young.
Shout out J Mike. Jermica.
And you just kind of took us on as like your friend because of him. I feel like you just befriended us because we were such good friends with him. Yeah. And we befriended you for the same, you know, and you were also in Houston when I was in Houston at U of H.
Yeah, that Katrina thing was wild.
Yeah,
man. Like you guys, you were cool kids, man. I think I really was impressed by, you know, because y'all, you're 1 or 2 years younger than me. I was really impressed by the sneaker culture and how that like brought y'all together. It was really impressed with you guys and kind of look, you know, it was nice to be like a big bro, you know, riding y'all around places, jumping in my Honda Civic, going to parties and stuff. It was a good time.
You let me throw one. Well, you didn't let me, but I threw one of my first parties at your house.
Yeah, man, that was controversial, but it worked out. Shout out to my old roommate. It worked out.
But yeah, man, you've always been somebody that's been supportive of me on my creative journey, just my journey of life, and I appreciate that so much. Do you mind introducing yourself to the people?
Sure. What's good, everybody? My name is Byron Young, a.k.a. Dr. Byron Young. I'm a brother from New Orleans, Sheila's son, Lillian's grandbaby, Tyreek's little brother, Taylor's uncle, a whole bunch of people, cousin. I'm a child, adolescent, and adult psychiatrist. I'm a emotional wellness program developer and consultant, lover of hip-hop, lover of art, lover of jazz, lover of culture, and lover of black people. And just honored to be here, man. A shout out to Xavier University where we met.
Yep.
One of the places that where I fell in love with black people more and more, the nuance, the dynamism, you know, learned we were not a monolith. And so, yeah, man, honored to be here. You know, I talk a lot, so I got whatever you want to talk about.
Man, you gave a hell of an introduction.
Yeah, man. I feel like, you know, it's a village, man. I feel like so humbled by the people who have brought me up. You know, it's funny. So growing up as like a nerd, so I'm from New Orleans, from the West Bank, from Marrero. Grew up in a pretty hood neighborhood called Walkertown. And growing up as a nerd in that community, a lot of times if you're like a nerd in the hood, you might get teased or you might have to like stay in the house. But because my family made such a big part of my community, right? It was my sister and my cousins. Like I got to ride their street cred. So you know, I'm Tiny's little brother. I'm Michael's cousin. I'm June's cousin. So like I got to ride their street cred. So I got to be out in the streets and be myself. So that's like a unique opportunity. Either sometimes you got to kind of like, you know, either kind of become something maybe you're not so you can fit in, or you stay your ass in the house. And so for me, it was a blessing to get to be my weird, quirky self and be accepted and get to ride the street cred of my family and be, you know, like I think part of me being such a different kind of cat is what allowed me to connect with my community in a special way, because folks maybe were able to feel a little more comfortable telling me stuff that they might not tell other people, or expressing stuff, or maybe even being a little bit more of themselves around me than maybe around other folks, because I was already kind of a quirky dude. And so just really thankful, man. I'm just really thankful for where I've gotten to go and the experiences I've gotten to have. And like, you know, growing up in the hood, but getting to go to private school, you know, my mom sacrificed so I could go to private school. And so getting the best of both worlds and learning how to navigate and be myself in all environments has been dope. You know, whether I'm around wealthy white folks or around, you know, under-resourced people of color, getting to bring who I am to those spaces and representing my blackness no matter what space I go, and knowing that that's worthy. You know what I'm saying? I felt like I never had imposter syndrome, because like I was dominating academically early with these, you know, with the wealthiest of the wealthy, the whitest of the white, and bringing my full black ass, you know, to these spaces. And so I'm very blessed, and you know, everybody ain't able, so I just feel real fortunate how it went down. You know what I'm saying? So you know, I shout out my mom and my grandma, I feel like I'm still writing my grandma's prayers. You know what I'm saying? Lillian's
Yeah.
prayers still got me going. You know what I'm saying? Sheila's prayers still got me going. I'm just extra thankful, man. Very appreciative. And seeing your journey, you know what I'm saying? Like this whole vibe, this whole thing, the journey from doing this in your apartment to now doing it in the Spotify studio space is all. I just feel overwhelmed about the appreciation. Appreciation seems to be the theme. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And yeah, man, it's a blessing, man. Blessing to have you in my life, and blessing to be here, man.
Man, I appreciate that. Yeah, man, because I was just about to ask you how you were doing, but you just gave it all right there, and I appreciate that.
Yeah. Got me a little emotional, Mike, if I'm being honest. Had me a little thug. I shed one thug's tear out here. I ain't gonna shed no more than that.
Yeah, man. Like this is really dope. And just hearing you, because I'm gonna just keep it real with you. Like when I wanted to bring you on the podcast, we've been kind of trying to line up just you coming on the podcast in general, because this will be your third time.
Yeah.
But I really wanted to talk to you about just overcoming grief, man. And we're gonna get into everything else, but I really wanted to talk to you about that because, man, you have come so far in your life, and how old were you when you lost your mother?
I was 19.
19. How old were you when you lost your grandmother?
Damn, I remember maybe like 10, 11, 12, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, man, I see a lot of people struggle with it, even my own mother, and I've never, my grandmother, obviously, that's probably the closest person to me that I've ever lost. But, like, I'm always curious about just how are you able to just, like, thrive and move forward in your life, and, like, how does it affect you? And I know I'm throwing a whole lot at one time, but, like, how does it affect you when, like, you do accomplish shit? Like, you've gotten so far in your life, and,
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, for sure. I think so. You talk about the loss of my grandma. So my grandma was like, literally, and I'm not kidding, no exaggeration, no hyperbole, the sweetest woman I've ever met. Like, no. So in my neighborhood, we had a lot of folks who had substance abuse issues. We called them cluckers, crackhead cluckers. But my grandma treated them folks as delightfully and royally as she treated anybody else, even though that didn't seem to be what everybody else did. And I watched that, man. I watched how humanizing my grandma was around how she treated people. And I really am getting emotional. And man, she just inspired me so much with how sweet she was, man. It was never conditional. It was like she was the first representation of unconditional love. You know what I'm saying? And I almost feel, like, I'm getting a little emotional. I feel a little real tear because part of it is like I feel so extra blessed to have one. Because, man, black folks, particularly old black folks, been through so much. She came out of Mississippi. Ain't no telling what this woman has seen and felt and experienced and, the loss. But she was sweet enough to make sure that everyone around her felt loved and lifted and humanized. And that really inspired me, man. It really did. And so losing her was a thing. I feel like in some ways I was like, oh, my grandma was like really, she was old. She was in her 80s or whatever. So it wasn't as much of a sting to lose my grandma as to lose my mom. But man, it was a sting in that, like, there was a vacuum in this person who brought so much reflection of the humanity of everybody. My grandma didn't care if you worked at the McDonald's or if you was a doctor. She don't care. Her love was unconditional. All she was worried about was come put this activator. She had a Jerry curl lady. All she cared about was come put this activator in my hair, and that's all I need. And so, man, I'm just so that loss was a thing. But my mom, man, was like my best friend, bro, and that one hit me, man. That took a lot out of me. And I don't even, it's funny, I think, I'm when my mom passed away, I was like, Xavier, and everybody's like, man, you like look so good. How you doing? You like came back to school, killing still academically strong or whatever. And I was still, functioning. And in part that was because who my mom was. But man, I still don't know if I feel all the way right. What I'm saying? After losing this woman who was, she was mom, she was dad, she was chef, dance instructor, philosopher, teacher, right? Artist, art instructor. I was teasing about how she used to, I would make a project for like a science class, and then she'd be like, ooh, baby, that's okay, but let's do a little something to it. And she would make that joint even better. How parents be cheating on making their kids projects and stuff. And she just, man, was so phenomenal, so dynamic. And man, like I saw, much like her own mom, like, because my grandma, my mom, this notion of seeing the humanity in people, she was the first person I ever saw who went out of her way to go take care of folks. So like my whole family depended on my mom for lots of stuff, particularly around like academic stuff, but also like financial stuff. But like she was the person who, like, if a homeless person asked for something, she'll go get them food and bring it back to them. You know what I'm saying? Just the kind of stuff that like made such a mark on my life, and in some ways kind of pushed me to do some of the dope kind of community focused work I get to do. So yeah, man. But you talk about the loss, man. That shit hit. Can I curse? Am I? Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
Nigga, the start of letting go.
Yeah.
No,
but yeah, it hit. I tell you, this is the first time I felt like my mom was so good at doing what she did. She was so good at protecting me and my sister that I felt like I never felt really any type of real sadness until she passed away. Wow. I was like, man, was this notion of like feeling sadness to the point of like my appetite's different and like I'm not as interested. I've never felt that feeling other than that experience when she passed. And it's funny because I didn't consciously feel sad, but I like wasn't eating. I wasn't sleeping right. I wasn't interested in doing. I remember my boys took me to go play basketball, and I love basketball. Mike know I'd be blazing them up out here on the courts. But I remember, like something ain't right, bro, because when I was on that basketball, we went to go play at UNO at this dope kind of their community center, and I just wasn't feeling it. And I was like, ooh, something is definitely wrong. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like a big space was missing. But it was really her knowledge around. So I'll tell you what happened. My cousin, one of my younger cousins, my cousin Josiah, a brilliant, beautiful young man, passed away from cancer.
Damn,
and my family took that hard. I got a big old extended family. Shout out to my family. And everybody was like, whoa, it was so sad. And I remember we went to the funeral, and my mom was like, yes, this is definitely sad. And at the end of the day, like, our mission is to live this life as best we can and then go be with in the kingdom, in the kingdom of heaven. And to know that she felt that way about death and kind of wasn't scared of death in that way definitely helped make it easier. And I felt like in terms of dealing with grief, I made it my mission. All that love my mama gave me, all that love I got to see her experience and got to see her give out to everybody, my family, friends, loved ones, and the people around her. I'm going to pick up that torch. So that's going to be my mission. I'm going to take that love, and my job now is to pick up the torch so that way she never really dies, right? On some NERD shit.
Hey, man, I'm going to tell you, when my grandmother passed, like, that shit was hard. And it always stands out to me, like, you telling me, like, the way to like carry on her legacy was just to like do the good shit that she would do, like 100%. Embody her. And man, that shit really helped.
100%. And
something else you told me was just to keep creating new memories.
Facts.
And not to say that I don't think about my grandma. I ain't gonna lie, like in the last week or two, just with all the shit that's been going on, she be so on my mind because like, she never really understood what the fuck I was doing with this creative shit. But she always would just encourage me. Like, she didn't understand, but she just knew that it was something I believed in, and she believed in it too. And she would always tell me, oh, you making it big in the world. And for me to feel it on myself now, like, she used to tell me that shit, but to really feel it now and to not really have her there to say that, it hit a little different, man.
Yeah, man, I could imagine, man. But yeah, you like, you thinking you riding on the wings of your ancestors in general, man. But I know your grandma was like the matriarch of your family, so that hit different. You know what I'm saying? Hit different. But you think about what would your grandma say in these situations? What would she, what would her attitude be about these things? You could carry that on forever. You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
You had such an intimate connection with her that don't die. That don't die at all. You know what I'm saying? And so she's still with you in that regard.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I know how important your grandma was to you, man. It's so I'm from New Orleans, and I know your grandma was from New Orleans. So just hearing how New Orleans she was, really brought it to life for me, man. So yeah, definitely, man. We riding on the wing. We out here carrying the torch, man.
Yeah,
I really do believe that.
Yeah, man.
I really do believe that. And in that way, yeah, man, no one ever really dies if you got loved ones to carry the love on. And not just the love, the lessons, the what to do, the what not to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, all that stuff matters. The examples, the modeling, and I think about, what I get from my grandma was definitely something special, but I think about even my family members or friends who maybe made a lot of mistakes. I get, in some ways, they love me enough to share those mistakes with me and, like, guide me not to do them. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I think about growing up in Walkertown, there's many nights where I had cousins or family friends who would be like, yo, B, you should get off the block tonight. It's hot tonight, so get off the block tonight. And, they didn't have to look out for me like that. You know what I'm saying? But Yeah, man, it's community, man. It's definitely community, and it's clear that your grandma was at the top of that chain for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, grief is just a part of the circle of life, and I think the healthiest way, in the way that's like, you know, what I'm saying, like, you know, I believe in God for sure, and I believe in the divine movement of things, and I am thankful just to exist in a sense,
Man.
and so to have just have gotten even a morsel of love in this life. Everybody ain't get that. Everybody don't get that now. So to let alone to have a grandma like you had, let alone to have a grandma like I had, like, that's a blessing. I'm appreciative AF, you know what I'm saying? So, like, man, people out here, it'd be hard out here.
Yeah,
you know
of course.
I think in some ways so my mom died when I was 19, but damn, that was 19 of the best years ever. Like, shit, like it's people ain't had a lick of love from their mamas, you know what I'm saying? So, like, in some ways, I'm just really back to the theme of appreciation, man.
Yeah.
Like, that's how you ride through grief for me. And I imagine that grief is complex for those people who don't have that, you know, who maybe their parents passed and they had a harder relationship. You know, I can't, you know, it's harder to say what you pick up to like move on from that kind of thing. But in these contexts, right, when your grandma was dope as hell, when my grandma was dope as hell, my mom was amazing. You know, I'm just thankful. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, it hurts and pain is okay, and I could feel that, but I'm thankful, bro.
Yeah.
I'm thankful.
Man, what advice would you give to anybody just in that healing phase of grief? I mean, you know, we all are in it to some extent, but what advice would you give?
And so many things we grieve in, Mike. So many things, so much loss. This life is full of so much loss. It's not just loss of loved ones, loss of relationships,
of course,
loss of dreams hoped for. You feel what I'm saying? So much loss. I think the way you move forward is just really coming back to, like I said, the unconditional love that my grandma had for me. That's my goal. That's my prayer. That's my therapy work. I'm trying to get to that. I'm trying to get to the point of loving myself so much that even my darkest parts and my lightest parts, I love them all equally because they mine. Man, you feel what I'm saying? Man, like my grandma, like I said earlier, if you worked at the McDonald's or you at the car wash or you was a doctor or you was a lawyer, she ain't the same love you got. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to love myself like that.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. And it's funny you say that because I do feel like I give that out. And I'm learning how to give it to myself. So
it's hard. It takes work. It takes work.
It does.
It take work because this society don't tell. This society don't give a fuck about how you love yourself. It's like come and be commodified and get caught up in all this, like, you know, what you wearing, what kind of car you driving, how many, you know, what's your status, what's your whatever, what's your, you know, how many likes you got in the thing. And it's all to commodify you. It's all to push capitalism forward. And so this society isn't set up for you to love yourself. It's not about real loving yourself.
But going back to something you mentioned earlier, your community.
Facts.
The people you keep around you. I will say I'm blessed to have the family that I was given, the friends that I found. Because, man, on them days when I'm not feeling like shit, those be the people that bring me back up. They don't tear me down. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. And yeah, it really does feel like luck of the draw. I really do feel sometimes a little guilty for having such a dope, I call my people my circle of love, of which you are an intimate part of that. I sometimes feel a little guilty because my people dope as hell. I'm like, yeah,
same,
they
man.
dope. You know what I'm saying? You see my people, Mike. You've been in this place. My family, my friends are so amazing, and I feel so blessed, so thankful, but a little guilty because, like, everybody ain't got it like that. And I don't know what it is. And people, you know, always say, oh, it's something about me that draws those people. I don't know if that's true. I you know what I'm saying? Like, maybe. But I just feel like, yeah, it's too good to be true that this many marvelous people who bring their best, I feel like people come to me and bring their best version of themselves in my space. And I don't know what that's about, but I love it so much.
I feel absolutely the same. I feel the same. But also, you know, I recognize how connected I am to that. So I have to bring my best self when I'm in these spaces with people. Yeah. You know what I mean? And whatever that looks like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not for me to judge it. Because I recognize in the past I've felt what was my quote unquote best, had to look a certain way or be a certain way. And now it's just like, just being fucking present is enough.
You know? It's a gift. It's funny. I think in some ways I'm thinking, because as you talk about you having those people, I know for a fact I've seen it in action what you bring to a space and why you pull out the best of people, right? I know your sincerity is just so tangible, and that makes people want to show up for you. That makes people want to bring like a particular part of their best selves. And so maybe people are right. Maybe it is something I do that does it, because I know that's how it works for you. Yeah. I know you come into a space in your sincerity and your like for lack of a better term, you give a fuck more than anybody I know. You know what I'm saying? That's a special thing, because everybody doesn't feel connected like that. And I don't know what it is, why it is that you have that gift, but it is so clear to me that when I'm talking to Mike Brown, I have his undivided attention, and he really does give a fuck about me. You know what I'm saying? And I appreciate you for that. I really do. Because everybody ain't able. And it's not like a malicious thing. Because, again, we said earlier, life is hard. And people got a lot going on. And your ability to go through all the stuff you've been through and still come up and be present and show up and give a fuck about people and show it so clearly, so tangibly, is a gift. And so that is a reminder of like there is something about you that brings people into your world like that. Cause no doubt about it, Mike Brown, if he don't do nothing else, he give a fuck. And I appreciate you for that.
I appreciate that, man. Lord, I got Byron in there crying. Bruh, Byron, I love you and I appreciate you so much. I did have some listener questions, but I also had a question for you. Like, bro, like why do you just, man, like the way you pour into people, bro, like I swear you believe me more than I believed in myself. And like I'm so appreciative to have people like you in my life. You know what I'm saying? Because I've been moving scared my entire life, and I feel like every step of my way, you've always pushed me. Just like, oh, you want to do music? Here. Oh, you doing a podcast? Oh, you doing a book? You know what I mean? But like, I don't know. What is it about me? You know what I mean?
Man, I think it is very clear that you are super gifted and multidimensionally gifted. Like I call you're a polymath, man. You're a Renaissance man for real. Like I think about that project we did together where we did the music project, and so basically I had this idea. I'm a psychiatrist, right? And I do a lot of community psychiatry, and I wanted to create some cool stuff to go into schools and talk to kids about coping skills, like how do you dealing with stress and that kind of thing. And I wanted to deliver mindfulness, but I didn't want it to be corny. So I was like, man, Mike, make beats. Let me hit up Mike and see if he could make me some like soulful hip hop beats that like are still relaxing and cathartic. And Mike was like, say no more. So Mike gave me 8-9 tracks, and we put this thing together. And I remember being super impressed because not only was the music amazing, and not only did you do the whole thing yourself, basically, I just funded it, but you did it all yourself. I just gave an idea. But when I sent you this picture, I lived in New York and would always go take pictures of art spaces. I sent Mike this picture, this pure magic art piece. When I tell you what Mike did to that cover, I was like, how did you get this out of a photograph? Like, I was like, so that's where I realized you are really multi-talented. Like you are a creative's creative, because you can literally take any type of art form and do something visual, podcasting, music, not only producing, but also singing, but also rapping, but you know what I'm saying? Like that's you are a true creative, and that's sick. That's like almost unfair. So it's easy to believe in you, Mike, because I see your talent, man.
I appreciate that.
Easy.
And can I give you some real truth? I didn't like Pure Magic when we first did it. Mm-hmm. I didn't listen to it for a long time.
I didn't even know.
I probably haven't listened to it maybe to like the last 3 years, 4 years.
Wow.
I didn't really share it with too many people because in my head, the music wasn't mixed. It wasn't this, it wasn't that. Because I didn't even mix none of that music.
Okay.
But the feedback that you got, I was getting when I played it in classrooms and seen kids like really relax to it.
Facts.
But still in my head, it wasn't good enough. And man, if I could give any advice to any creatives right now that listen, is to, like you said, just not give a fuck. Give a fuck about the right things, not the other shit.
Yeah.
Because, man, like, I really was negative self-talking the fuck out of myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like I said, it was people like you. It was people like James, people like Alex. Like Alex and James fucking managed. James was my manager at one point.
Shout out to
what I'm
that
saying?
yoga dude.
Not knowing what the fuck we doing. And, all of that brought me here. You know what I'm saying?
So let me ask you a question, Mike. Because, right, we talk about self-love, we talk about your growth. How did you do it? Because you talk about the people who have inspired you. But what was it that you had to unlock in yourself to get here, to continue to move this direction? And I know it's still work you're doing.
Man, but to like that real, so I'll give you a couple of the ones that I remember the clearest. So when I first came out, that really was like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
And that was kind of that stepping into not giving a fuck.
Yeah.
But I would say what really got me on the self-love was like, man, when I broke up with my last ex, I felt low.
Yeah.
I felt low as fuck. And the thing that people told me the most, because that shit was it was a lot of shit going on with that shit.
Right.
But people told me, be kind to yourself.
Ooh, I like that.
And I didn't know what the fuck that meant. It didn't make sense to me at the time. Because I was just like, what the fuck does that mean to be kind to yourself? Right. And the thing that stood clearest to me was my negative self-talk. Because people kept just giving me all this, like how they saw me, how they felt about me. And it was just like, man, all these people shooting this positive shit at you and you shooting all the negative shit in you. It was like, maybe, and I told myself, maybe I don't know myself.
Wow.
Maybe I don't know myself.
Wow. Because
all I see is the negative shit. And all these people are just telling me these positive things. So I said, well, I'm going to take a break from these and I'm going to focus on these.
Like it. I like it.
And the more I started really embracing, when people tell me positive shit now, I'm like, I can see that. I see that in myself. And I have to receive that, even when it makes me really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's like, thank you, I received that. And the more I kept receiving it, is the more it's like, okay, it's natural now.
So people did really play, because I think sometimes people think it's like I just have to do it myself or whatever. But people played a big role in your ability to be intentional for yourself about seeing the beautiful parts of yourself.
Bro, that's why I'm so selective about the people I keep around me.
Yeah.
Because the people that be around me really made me who I am.
That's really impressive.
And that's real shit. And that's the ones that, as organically as my family came into my life, and I think everybody has came in organically, but everybody that has been in my life has really played a part in my life. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And granted, yes, there are people that, that seep through that crack, but that's my lessons.
Facts.
But the motherfuckers that's here, whether we talk every day or once a decade.
Been around and still around.
Still around.
Yeah.
And it feels natural. And they've all poured into me. And, like I said, even during those times when I felt low, there were still people that would tell me things. And I'm going to be honest, that's why I've always ran away from connecting with people, because people would see this super positive version of me and I didn't see that. And it's like, ugh, that scared me. But now I get it.
Yeah.
I understand it.
Did you ever feel like an imposter?
I've always felt like an imposter.
Yeah, sounds like it.
I've always felt like an imposter because I just, like I said, I ain't know I had the juice.
Yeah.
I ain't know I had the juice. Now I know I'm Bruce Leroy out here.
And I'm sure it's still a struggle. I'm sure it's still it's not.
It is.
Yeah.
I'm talking that shit, but it still makes me uncomfortable.
It's funny you talk about coming out. It's funny, knowing you then. I always tell the story about how when you came out, how I was like, I didn't believe you because you're so masculine. And I remember saying the stupidest thing I've ever said. I was like, Mike, we played basketball yesterday. You ain't gay. But that was just dope. But it was clear that there was a burden that was relieved, like a huge burden had been lifted off your back when you came out. And I remember you used to be kind of angry back at Xavier and getting in fights and tussling and stuff. And I remember how much joy you were able to express after that burden got relieved, and the notion that you could come and be who you are. Yeah. And I feel like it's cool because, living in LA and getting to see you so often now, I feel like you're still coming into who you are. And the joy is more and more present. Like the more you get to kind of be who you are and kind of get to, explore different sides of what you think and what you like and kind of ways of being, the joy is more and more present. So it's cool to see you on this journey of just tapping into who you are and not so worried about having to be a particular thing. that's just being, I
I'm gonna
guess.
tell you, man. Today is just being like today is by far the happiest I've been in a really long time. Like I just feel different today, and it's funny. I remember I told you I was gonna quit my job, and you was like, "Man, every time you quit your job, you always get a little further."
Yeah.
And I told my job I'm quitting, and I told myself we not going back to nobody else's job. And it's like, okay, I see what's happening.
Looks like it's going pretty good.
It's going pretty fucking good.
It's a strong start, Mike.
It's going pretty good. I had a listener question for you.
For sure.
I may have had two. Let me see, but I know I got one listener question for you for sure. Boom, 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 boom.
Hey guys, thanks so much for taking my question. I was just curious for your thoughts on, any tips you have regarding the best way to fight with your partner. Obviously, people don't get along all the time, but through those moments of adversity, I'm wondering what you guys have leaned into as tools for making more effective, communication come from those moments of disagreement. Thanks.
The good brother Dante. What a smooth one.
Yes.
You want me to go first or you go first?
So you can answer first.
So I'm new to this relationship game. I've been running for relationships for a long, long time, but finally have settled into a really beautiful situation, and even broke up and recently got back together and came back together and we did our self work. Right, we did our self work and came back together more beautifully than ever, which has been really nice. But I think in terms of when I think a couple things. One, you really do. If you love somebody, it's only so far you're gonna go in a fight, right? It's only so because sometimes I think people are always like, oh, what's the work we need to do? I think a lot of people are thinking, I need to fix this person. I need to help this person change. I need to whatever. But you got to go to you. What's the role you play in it? What can you do? How can you heal? How can you do your own self work? And I think when you're getting into an argument, always being rooted in, like, I love this person. I want to send good energy, good vibes. We disagree, but it doesn't have to become malicious. And I think anytime it becomes a situation where I'm trying to be hurtful or I'm trying to, like, win, I, like, got to remind myself, like, whoa, that ego shit is going it could burn this whole thing down. Mm-hmm. And so really I think it's checking your ego and knowing that, like, hey, like, agree to disagree. Let's work on it some other way. Maybe we need to take a break, need to take a pause. But I think the key thing is working on the ego and be like, oh, because I think oftentimes when you need to win or when you need to, like, burn, like custom, like the last word and whatever, that causes trouble. And you're, like, not connecting with this person as a loved one. You're like, if you remember the humanity of this person that you care about so deeply, I think you can check your ego and then you could operate from, like, a more peaceful place.
Yeah.
That's my theory. But again, I'm brand new. I don't know shit. I don't know.
I mean, I've been in a couple of relationships.
For sure.
In a relationship or two or three. But I think for me, what I've always tried to, like, talk about it and really just express my true feeling. Yeah. And sometimes me expressing my true feeling out loud can lead to me looking at myself and saying, mm-hmm. well, damn, I might be wrong. So yeah, I think communication is always the best way, and, like, authentic communication, like loving communication, like you said, not with fucking, like, I'm trying to prove a point. Because I'll be honest, for me, I'm never trying to prove a point with my partner. At least in my head, I'm not trying to prove a point. Yeah. But I'm always able to reel it in, like, especially when this person expresses their feelings back, like when they express, well, hey, this made me feel this. Oh, this made me feel this. And then when I get to hear how you feel, it makes me look at me. Yeah.
I think some people, you said the notion of the ability to, like, you could look and see that you're wrong. That's part of the work. I'm saying some people, our egos get so big that we would never admit that we're wrong. Even if we are wrong, we wouldn't admit it. I love my sister dearly, but when we have an argument, even if she knows she's wrong, she's not going to tell you, but she will come back later and be like, I took your advice and did this thing, but she never going to say I'm wrong. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, just think about arguments with different loved ones. But I think to your point, it sounds like you've been able to kind of control the ego and be able to be self-reflective. And I think sometimes we get so tender, we get so insecure that we can't possibly bear the thought of being wrong or letting the other person kind of, like, have the win. And so I think that's part of it, is like it really is the notion of checking your ego and really remembering, like, yo, you love this person, you connect with this person, like, it's not about winning or losing, it's about, like, continuing to build and like grow and make synergy. You know what I'm saying? But it sounds like you have the ego stuff pretty well balanced. If you could say
as much as I can,
yeah,
as much as I can.
Human.
Yeah.
That was a good question. I
I
wonder what Dante would say. Yeah.
Well, he didn't give his name, so you didn't have to give his name.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
But, no, I'm just playing. I'm just playing.
Yeah.
What advice? So I got like 2 questions for you, and I got one from Crenshaw also. But what advice would you give to anyone listening to this podcast? Like maybe that would probably be your younger self. Like what advice would you give?
It's funny because my advice is a lot like the advice that you said was so potent for you. This notion of being kind to yourself. I like that a lot. And I think I would go back and tell myself, like, it's not that serious. I think that's what you see. Them old people don't give a damn about nothing. Old people just be like, they don't care about nothing. And I think I think wisdom is this realization that ain't nothing that serious.
Yeah.
And you're going to be all right. You're going to do the best you can with the best you got.
Yeah.
Relax. And so I think I would go back to my old self and be like, bro, it's not that serious. Just go ahead and live your life and do your thing. And like stop worrying so much about like things having to work out in a particular way and just live and just be. If I could like go teach myself mindfulness at a younger age. And I think in some ways I was very I had some good stuff even young, you know what I'm saying? The ability to be appreciative was something that was really special and played out really well. But the ability to be I was always living in the future. I was always like, I remember if a field trip would be coming up, I'd be like, I got to go to sleep so I could be closer to the field trip. Like I just couldn't bear waiting for the thing that had to come and being present. And so, I would tell myself like, bro, it's not that serious. Relax. Enjoy every little moment. Take all these time. Because so many moments wasted. So much I could have been reading something interesting or could have, been learning or having a conversation, calling a relative or something. But I'm there like trying to go to sleep so I can like, because I can't bear being awake and waiting for this exciting thing that's going to come. You know what I'm saying? So living from field trip to field trip, like relax, man. All this space in the middle is dope. So I think I would have told my younger self that. What would you have told your younger self?
It probably would be like be kinder to yourself, and also just like not be afraid to put yourself out there. Like embrace who you are, all of it.
Let me ask you a question. How do you think your life would have been different if you would have been more comfortable with your sexuality earlier? Or like come out earlier. I know because in some ways that shit's safety. It wouldn't have been safe for some people.
I feel
How
like
do you think it would have been different?
I mean, if I were judging on what the times were like at that time,
just the whole thing. Yeah, would it have been safe? Would it have been good for you?
I think it would have been safe. Probably my family. I think my family probably would have felt more fear than anything, just because at that time it was because they really didn't care about. The gayness was more like just what could happen to you. You know? But I don't know. I think with my family, it probably wouldn't have been different. With my friends at that time, I'm sure it would have been different because it would have been different for me. You know what I mean? Right. So like, it would have been different. But I think, had I came out earlier in the times like they are today, you probably just would have got this version of Mike Brown a lot earlier.
Just earlier. Like you would have been able to grow in particular ways earlier.
Yeah. I have no regrets about where I'm at today because I feel like if I wasn't here today, I wouldn't be able to give what I have to give, so I needed all that experience.
It was lessons and all that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Of course.
Yeah. Plus you learn how to fight real good. Hey.
Man. Don't tell nobody that people gonna be challenging me to fight when the podcast go on tour. I can't fight no more.
I always say, I tell Chris this all the time. I say, hey, if I ever get in a fight, the one friend I know I need is my boy Pat and my boy Mike. That's the 2 people I got. That's the 2 people I gotta have because I know they're gonna have my back if I ever get in a tussle.
Oh shit, that's hilarious.
Yeah. And you about the skinniest of my friends, but I know you can throw them hands. And you got reach too. He got
reach long.
I feel like the person with the most experience.
That's too funny. Man, I got a message Crenshaw sent us. And then...
What up, Crenshaw?
Let me see. I might have time for the meditation. If not, I could just add the meditation at the end when I do the editing.
I'm here for it.
But this is Crenshaw's message.
Comedian at large. Crenshaw kind of funny on the gram.
The art of letting go of these nuts.
That's the message. You gotta be shaking. That's hilarious.
Oh man, let's see how long this meditation is. Oh, we got a minute. So we'll do this meditation real quick and then I'll close this out.
For sure.
All right. So This meditation is brought to us by James Woods, aka that yoga dude.
It's James Woods, aka that yoga dude with Feel Free to Feel Free. Take a minute, just a minute, to embrace, love, cherish, and trust your creativity. It's doing what it's supposed to be doing. Breathing into your creativity brings you deeper into who you truly are. Let's take 3 deep breaths. Through the nose, we inhale. And a long, slow exhale. Relaxing your shoulders as you breathe in. Softening your face, your jaw, your arms, your legs. Deep breath in. Exhale, allowing the mind and the body to relax for the creativity to flow. You got it. And as always, feel free to feel free, and namaste. Peace.
Feel free to feel free.
Told him I'm gonna need those every week.
Facts. That's a beautiful addition.
Man, Byron, can you tell the people where they can find you?
Oh, for sure. So you can find me on the gram. My personal gram is Prodigy5002. It be popping. I'll be out here, especially on the art scene in the world. And my professional gram is We Doing It Well, at We Doing It Well. I got a website, doingitwell.org. And yeah, just if a place to come for, like, particularly people of color, to come for a word on mental health, different tools, and connecting you with different resources to find a therapist or find a therapist of color. Also meditations from both Mike Brown and James have projects that they've done with me on there. I got a TED Talk talking about the beauty of Black people, and how the medical community needs to atone in some sense, and really people always talk about equity. And equity is a thing that people talk about, but it's very performative. And so, we have been, we ain't been treated right in any of these systems, but particularly in systems that are supposed to heal, like, that's a problem. And so really talking to folks about recognize the humanity of people of color, particularly BIPOC people. And so my TED Talk kind of talks about that. And just different creative ways of coming and engaging with people around mental health. Do a lot of work at the intersection of mental health, art, and social justice. So yeah, man, you can catch me there on my website, and feel free to hit me up. Got a lot of cool projects I get to work on, and thank you for being such a big part of a lot of them.
Man, thank you for bringing me on all of them. Man, Byron, thank you so much for coming on the show. Like, bro, I really appreciate this. Like, I appreciate our relationship. I appreciate just having you on this journey with me, man, for real.
For sure.
Thank y'all for listening. Thank you, Spotify, for having us. This is Mike Brown, and this is The Art of Letting Go. Peace.
Be kind to yourself.
Tuning into this week's episode of The Art of Letting Go. If you like what you heard, please be sure to subscribe and also leave a comment. Let other people know what you think. Let me know what you think. I would love to hear from y'all. We have a phone line. You can DM me, ask me a question. We have a new segment called Ask Me a Question, so you can ask me a question. Man, also shout out to Spotify for letting us record at the Frequency Free Studio. If you guys would like to purchase Art of Letting Go merch, get my book In a Panorama. Also, if you want to support the show in any kind of way, you can go to justmikebrown.com, pick up merch, and all that cool stuff. Thank y'all for tuning in. This is Mike Brown, and this is The Art of Letting Go.